Hello. So today I wanted to make a video about, I guess, what's honestly dukkha or suffering or dissatisfaction, basically being let down. And circumstantially, right now, I feel pretty let down. Events are not going as I anticipated, and as a result, it's been pretty difficult for me to come to terms with the way that things are, not the way that I want them to be. And this is a common occurrence for me, and probably I would assume most other people. But yeah, just in examining this, I found that this is rooted in my expectation, a largely unconscious expectation of, oh, this is how it's going to go. This is how it should be. This is going to be so fruitful when this happens. Then realizing again, circumstantially, it's not gonna happen like that. And me resisting the way that things are, the way that things have to be right now, was adding to the amount of suffering that I was creating, fabricating in my own experience. Instead of taking the situation for what it is, tapping back into the present, the blessings around me, the sun on my skin, the birds chirping, the fresh air, the people that love me, all of this is blessings. I was like, oh, but I narrowed, I contracted my consciousness to be like, but I want this thing. And without that, it's not enough. This dissatisfaction, this not enoughness is dukkha. Dukkha is a word used in Buddhism, in Eastern philosophy in general, about that kind of, yeah, describes suffering, dissatisfaction with the way that things are, the way that creation has panned out right now for you. And yeah, this is obviously a crux of many spiritual traditions. How do we work with this dukkha, this dissatisfaction with the present moment? In Buddhism, it would be with old age, sickness, and death. It's happening to all of us if we get lucky. And how do we cope with that? Do we resist it all? Do we resist life? No matter what, someone cuts me off in traffic, uh, someone talks to me in a way I don't appreciate. Do I resist that, or do I take it for what it is? And this is a practice, and it's just a guess and check. Like if someone says some messed up stuff to me, I'm probably gonna resist that off the rip at least. But again, just examining in our experience, how is this creating suffering for me? Be like, oh, F that person who just cut me off. What do they even know? Well, they're probably drunk and texting. Like, just seeing how our mind is creating this prapancha. This is a proliferation of thought around all these stories, around all of these mental stories, and fabricating out of thin air so much suffering for ourselves when it's not necessary. Where if someone cuts you off, for instance, in that moment, we can choose to let it go. It's like, oh, maybe they didn't see me, or yeah, maybe they're having a bad day, or maybe their father's in the hospital dying. That's a choice. We'll never know, but it's a choice, and it's a skillful choice. It's a mature choice to choose that. Why? Not for them, but for you and for your own experience. So again, seeing how we are mentally fabricating, creating the experience of suffering, of dukkha in our daily lives. And like for me right now, it's that my expectations aren't lining up with reality. And that hurts because I'm resisting it. And recently, though, if I let that go, if I see, oh, I'm making this so much harder for myself, and I start to let go, I start to loosen, I start to relax into what is being presented to me, what creation is giving me right now, then things get a lot easier. And I can, again, tap back into the blessings of my life and of the abundance that is all around us. Because it is here. Can we see it? I got clean air to breathe, clean water to drink. Where are we putting our where are we putting our awareness? Knowing that what I focus on is creating my experience to a degree. What I focus on, if I'm focused on, I'm watching a lot of horror movies, for instance, or I'm watching a lot of true detective or what is it, like true crime shows, then maybe I'll be looking around corners and being like, yo, what does this person want from me? Like, are they sketchy? Do they have a knife on them right now? And just noticing that's a product of what I am consuming through my awareness. If I'm consuming things that make me feel good, beautiful music, if I'm consuming time outside, time in nature, if I'm consuming Buddhism for me, things that help me let go, that become my mind is now a reflection of those things. In that sense, the mind is almost a passive organ. It is reflecting what you feed it. Like your body is a reflection of what you feed it and how you use it. So is your mind, and realizing that, and realizing the agency we have to create the conditions necessary for the most beautiful life we can imagine. It just depends what we want. And there's nothing wrong with the horror movies or being scared or watching the news if that's your thing. But just it's important to have agency in your experience and to realize, how is this affecting me right now? What is it causing me to think? If I'm watching the news all the time, probably kind of scared, because guess what? World's ending in like at least 24 kind of ways. We got climate change, we got violent conflict, we got AI, we got overpopulation, you name it. So if you're filling your awareness with that garbage, then what do you expect? You're gonna be probably shaken. You're gonna be, oh my god, what do we do? But at the same time, all that fear can be a teacher, and it can push you to let go. That's optimal. Anyways, I digress. Yeah, back to following ambition, creating an idea of what you want, a vision for your future, and going for it. And knowing that that might cause you suffering if it doesn't pan out the way you want. If you go for that girl that you really got the hots for and she's not into you, damn, that hurts. But you know what? I'd rather try and have it hurt than not go for it. And this desire, this eros, this ambition, it brings the zest back into life. Having been a Buddhist practitioner, meditator for a long time, for a while I was like, I want to get rid of this thing called desire, because it hurts too much. All this stuff is coming and going and none of it really satisfies, so just let go of all of it. And this is true. It is true. It depends where you are on your path at a given time. But for me right now, tapping back into the zest of life, of following those desires, is so fruitful, so amazing. It makes this story of life, that story that is being lived through me, amazing. It's like a movie. And if I was making this movie myself, I would want it to have highs and lows. And if we're going to play that game, the game of ambition and really going after your dreams, if we're going to live life like that, a vital skill is to know how to lose well. If you go after that thing and you don't get it, whether it's a job to success, you want to save people, you want to anything. If you want to go for it, you might not get it. And what is your relationship to that then? Can you lose well? And what is losing well? Knowing again, when things aren't panning out the way that I wanted them to be, then do I have the practice and the skill, the capability to let go? Be like, oh, actually, I don't need this, whatever it is. And it reminds me of a quote Alan Watts said, which was something along the lines of that this may not hit well for an American audience, but believe it or not, there's nothing that you could do in the future to make your life any better than it is right now in this moment. Fundamentally. Yeah, sure, you can get more money, fancy things, fancy experiences, nice food, more security, whatever that means. But it won't change the fundamental essence of your experience. And you are creating that right now with your choice, usually unconscious, of dukkha. This isn't enough. If I had the security, the money, the perfect partner, then it would be enough. And as Alan Watts also said, this is preparing for a future that never gets here. Because when we get that thing, the partner, the money, whatever, we're so habitually caught in momentum of looking towards the future that we can't even enjoy it. We're just forever lost looking for something to save us. And can we tap into the abundance of this present moment, knowing there's nothing that I could get, that this world could give me, that I actually don't already have right now? It's in you. It's not out there. Things change when you stop looking out there and you start looking in here. Is this enough? Am I enough? And I found if I can say yes to that, suddenly the world's enough, just the way that it is without changing. And yeah, just realizing this is why meditation for me is so useful. Thich Nhat Hanh said something along the lines of meditation is helping us to get used to this present moment and say, is this moment enough? And if you can say yes, that's a lifelong invaluable skill. Because if you cannot find that abundance and that bliss and that peace right here and right now, you won't find it out here. It doesn't exist. It's only ever existed in you. We have this illusion that something out there can save me, when it's always been an internal dialogue and an internal sort of maze. In the sense, we're walking this maze saying, oh, once I get this partner who loves me and is perfect, then that means that I'm enough. In a sense, we have granted so much power to this partner to unlock something in us. Oh, I can love myself now that this person loves me. Little did you know you could always love yourself, regardless of external circumstances. This is what happens when we slow down the thinking process to see these things clearly, to understand that peace, bliss, contentedness, abundance, it actually doesn't exist out there. Out there is also not in your control. This is. And the sadhus and the holy men and the mystics in various traditions in the East and the West often have very little. Why is that? Because they don't need it. They don't need it externally, materially, worldly speaking. Because when you found it inside yourself, you have something that no one, no thing, no, not even the world can take from you. And that's enough. And damn, yeah, this is a good one. But yeah, so bring this back to letting go of your desires when things aren't working out the way that you wanted. The ability to let go. The ability to let go into what then is a question. And I found for me, when I let go, it's in back into the present moment. I was like, again, not narrowing awareness, but expanding it then, letting go into right here, right now. And then asking the question, is this enough? Open question. And when I say yes, I don't see why not. I don't see why it's not enough right now. Then I'm tapped back into that abundance within myself that is then projected externally. Instead of, again, narrowing the consciousness of, if I don't have this thing, it's just not enough. It serves a purpose to fulfill the stories in our lives that we want to pursue. But it can be a cage, and it can cause us a lot of pain and suffering if we don't know how to navigate this world, and if it doesn't give us what we want. Yeah, so again, realizing that there's nothing external that can fundamentally make my life any better than it is right now. Nothing external. Internally, though, see where the contractions and the psychological knots and solidifications are, where we believe my life is not enough, the world isn't good enough the way it is because of XYZ. Asking the question why. Are you sure? Are you sure? If you got that thing, if you got that perfect partner, and you got, the perfect grades, like, you're making 7 figures a month, is that enough? Are you sure? Just being honest with yourself. When is there enough? And could it be right here and right now? And it doesn't mean we stop going for our dreams, stop shooting for the moon. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But at the same time, when things don't go as planned, I can let go and say, actually, this is it right here and right now. And regroup to the ground of abundance, contentedness, bliss that we have access to always. And then shoot for the moon again. At least that's how I see it. But yeah, thank you for checking this video out. And yeah, my name is Ben.